Well, thought I'd do a video response for Tabletop. My favorite period to wargame and why. Well, as you can see in front of you, that kind of gives you some idea what my favorite period might be. That's just a little assortment of 15mm Ancients figures that I have. But, yeah, I would say what got me into wargaming was just Ancients. I mean, when I was younger, I never knew much about how they fought battles back then. And we're talking the days of Rome and the Greeks and stuff, but I was always interested in it. So when I actually went to the library in school and started reading about battles, and in particular Alexander the Great, I learned that battles back then weren't just about lining up in the middle of a field and just charging each other. And I always thought that's basically what it was. You know, I didn't realize that there was a lot of tactics and finesse and strategy involved. I mean, there was different kind of unit types that had different functions in battle, and I didn't realize that. And it fascinated me that back in those days, they were so well organized to kill one another, basically. And it fascinated me ever since. And even though I didn't game it much back then, I couldn't really game much back then. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons was the extent of it, but miniatures wise, it's just something that I read about and learned about. And eventually, over the years, I started accumulating all kinds of rules, and like DBA, Might of Arms. Played this a little bit. I was good friends with the author, in fact, and helped develop some of it. But DBM, I mean, I got into the tournament thing, playing DBM and DBA as well. It's very popular at the conventions with tournaments, and that kind of way of playing fascinated me. And it was pretty neat. And I guess, there's so many choices of armies that you can have, literally hundreds of armies for various periods that can go at it with one another. And it was a big motivation to collect miniatures and try out new armies. He was Armadi. And some of the books that inspired me right from the get-go, like this one by Peter Conley, Greece and Rome at War. This is a classic book that if you don't have and you're a wargamer with any interest in Ancients, you've got to get this book. It's probably pretty hard to find these days, but it is a classic if you're interested in anything about Greece and Rome. I mean, look at this kind of details regarding how they fought and deployed, and it's fascinating. Yeah, so this is a really good book if you're interested in any kind of Ancients or Middle Age gaming. And this one as well, by John Morey, Warfare in the Classical World. This covers all kinds of things about Greece and Rome. A lot of color plates and just dissecting battles. This stuff is just absolutely fascinating. I love it. And yeah, one thing about Ancients gaming for me is that I really get engrossed by it. It isn't just about tournaments and just playing a game. I play it because I want to learn more about the history, and wargaming for me is kind of another way of learning about something in history. Whys and how comes and what they look like, and it's really fascinated me over the years. And now we got some Seleucids, I believe, later Seleucids, silver shields, literally silver shields. One of my first armies I ever did, they got a little dust. Spartans. These are the classical Spartans that fought against the Persians. These weren't the ones you might think of in the later era. Republican Romans. But yeah, it's given me a lot of release, and it's taught me a lot about battles and how things worked. And I used to be a big fan of 15mm, but nowadays I'm going with the 28s. And here's the set of rules here I'm particularly fond of because it's geared for the larger scale figures, and it's pretty fun. But like I said, I don't really play Ancients because of the game so much as the feel and the history and what I can learn from it. It's another tool to research what fascinates me, history. So, yeah, that's my number one period that I am interested in. But there's other things that interest me. I got a little bit of fantasy in me. Of course, the English Civil War always fascinated me. And of course, World War II. But they all have their spots and places in my gaming. So, yeah, that's my big thing. Ancients gaming. I love it. Try it. Maybe get some of these books, look at them. It's just a fascinating period of history to learn about how these people fought and killed one another. It's not all about who's armored and the better and who has the sharper spears. There's a lot of finesse and strategy involved with warfare back then. Fascinating. So, yeah, there you go. That's my little response to Tabletop's question. Your favorite period to war game and why? All right. Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.